Hi, sixth graders. Today you're going to be looking at native cultures, lunar calendars, and the moon. And so what you're going to be doing is comparing lunar calendars, which are based on the 29.5-day cycle of the moon. So one lunar month would be from one full moon to the next full moon, which we know is 29.5 days. You're going to be comparing that with what we call the solar calendar, which is our regular calendar that we use, the January, February, March, April, May, and so on. Now we know that those months have anywhere between 28 and 31 days, but the lunar calendars, which are what most historical calendars are based on, do not have the same number of days. So we're just going to be exploring some different types of calendars and seeing how they compare. All right, you have a yellow sheet, so that's what you're going to be following along with. The first part of this I'm going to kind of walk you through, and then the second part of it you're going to finish up on your own. If you don't finish in class today, that's fine. We will go through and give you some time tomorrow to get it finished. All right? All right, so the first one, part one, we're looking at modern day cultures and the lunar calendar. It is easy to see the changes in the appearance of the moon. So early people frequently base their calendars on the cycles of the moon. However, our solar calendar months are no longer lunar months, because the Western calendar has been adjusted to become a solar calendar. Since the moon takes about 29.5 days to complete a cycle of lunar phases, 12 lunar months is shorter than a solar year. So our first question up here says, and this is the first question on your sheet as well, there are 365.25 days in a solar year. How many days are there in a lunar year of 12 lunar months? So go ahead and pause the video, see if you can figure that out. You can use a calculator on the math here. All right, well, if you needed some help figuring that out, let me help you do the math. So if we know that there are 12 months and each month has 29.5 days, all we do is 29.5. Is this backwards on yours? I don't know, it might be backwards. Times 12. Okay, and when we multiply 29.5 times 12, we get 354 days. So the lunar calendar of 12 months has 354 days in it. In spite of this difference, many people still organize their lives by lunar calendars. Two of the world's great religions, Judaism and Islam, keep lunar calendars. The Jewish calendar, that's Judaism, has 12 or 13 lunar months. The standard year is 12 months, but an extra or intercalary month is inserted 7 times during the 19-year cycle to keep the religious calendar closely aligned with the solar year. Thus, Jewish religious holidays always occur in the same season, although the exact dates vary. For example, the Jewish holiday Passover is always in the spring between April 1st and April 25th. So we have two questions. The first one up here, number 2, how many days are in 19 lunar calendar years with an extra month added in 7 times? So go ahead, if you think you can figure this out, go ahead and pause the video. Otherwise, you can wait and I can explain. All right. So we know that one lunar year has 354 days. We found that out in question number 1. Okay? So if there's 354 days in 1 year, we want to know in 19 lunar years how many days there are. So first we do 354 times 19. And when we do that, we get 6,726 days. So there are 6,726 days in 19 lunar years. But then they add in an extra month 7 times in that 19 years. So then we're going to take 7 months times, and we know there's 29.5 days in each of those months. And when we multiply that, we get 206.5 days. So this is how many days there are in the extra 7 months that are added. So then we add these two numbers together, 6,726 and 206.5, and we get 6,939. I didn't do this right. Sorry, I was on the next question there. 6,932.5 days. So 19 lunar years plus 7 months is 6,932.5 days. Then question 3 on the bottom here, let me move my video out of the way, says how closely does the Jewish calendar coincide with the solar calendar every 19 years? So 19 solar years has 6,939.75 days. So if the solar calendar, this would be if we were using the June, July, August, right, has 6,939.75 days, and the Jewish calendar every 19 years has 6,932.5 days, I can find the difference of those by subtracting, and I end up with 7.25 days. So the Jewish calendar is 7.25 days longer than the solar calendar. Okay, so they're pretty close, which makes sense as to why the dates always fall within that time range. Okay. Next question. Oops. Says many people are familiar with the Western world's New Year, which falls on January 1st every year because it coincides with the solar calendar. The Chinese New Year coincides with the lunar calendar. On the lunar calendar, the first day of the month begins during the new moon. Because of this, the Chinese New Year falls on different dates each year. However, it always falls between January 21st and February 21st. So question number 4 on your sheet says, how is the secular holiday similar to the Jewish holidays? So how is the holiday of the Chinese New Year similar to the Jewish holidays? So you can look at this slide and go back to the last slide to answer that. I'm not going to tell you the answer to that one right now. Then question 5. Most Muslims recognize a 12 lunar month Islamic religious calendar for their private lives, even if they keep a different civil calendar. Originally, each lunar month began when the new moon was first sighted in the evening sky at sunset. Unlike many other calendars, no attempt is made to keep the Islamic religious calendar synchronized with a solar calendar. So they don't add in any extra months or anything to keep it so that the seasons still match up. The holy month of Ramadan, a time of prayer and fasting among all Muslims, continually moves through the seasons, occurring about 11 days earlier each solar year. One year Ramadan might be in the winter, and 16 solar years later, it would be in the summer. So your question 5, is if Muslims are using a lunar calendar for their religious holidays and a solar calendar for their work, recreational lives, how could this cause conflict between these equal parts of their lives? So what issues or what problems might they run into with that? Again, I'm not going to tell you the answer to this one right now. We'll talk about it a little bit tomorrow. All right, part 2 of this. Now you're going to do this part on your own. This is Native American perspectives, and this kind of goes along with what you've been learning about in Minnesota studies. And so what you're looking at is some different calendars that different Native Americans have used. And we know that most Native Americans have based their calendars on the lunar calendars. And so this first one talks about the Ojibwe calendars. And what you'll notice is it has the modern month, so the solar calendar month, the Ojibwe name, and then in parentheses is what that would translate to in English. Okay, so you're going to kind of look at those and see what you notice. And then answer the question as best as you can. Next slide, same thing, just answer it as best as you can. Same one with question 8. Then it goes into a whole bunch, and these ones might help you on question number 8. It has some different tribes from different parts of the United States. And so this one is the Cherokee. They're based in Oklahoma. And so it has the day or the month and then what they call that. And we have the Navajo, which are in the southwestern United States, so Arizona, New Mexico, Utah. Then the Dakota, which we know are here in Minnesota and Wisconsin as well. Then you're going to answer question number 9. And then this last one is going to help you with questions 10 through 13. So this has the Ojibwe name and the English name. And so you're kind of looking and comparing those and seeing what you notice. And then you'll answer questions 10 through 13. Do your best on these. If you don't get finished, that's okay. If you do get all the way finished, you're going to read a book or work on some other homework quietly. And we will go through the answers to these tomorrow, but what I don't want is for you to come in and have none of it done. Most of these are kind of what do you think or what do you notice questions, and so you should be able to get some sort of answer written down. Okay? Have a good day, and I will see you tomorrow.